What's up, everybody? We're about to get pretty nerdy today. As many of y'all know, I collect action figures and buy them, sell them, trade them, stuff like that. Well, McFarlane Toys has come out with this Cyborg Superman. It is a really awesome figure. See the art on the back. There's another one. It's a Target exclusive. It's kind of hard to get, where they did a red version of him. I really like that look. I didn't know what I was going to think about it till I got it. So they just kind of did a variant of it. But this Cyborg Superman, it comes from the early 90s run of the Death of Superman, when Doomsday comes and he ends up killing Superman. And then all of these false Supermen start rising up trying to gain power. And of course, Superman comes back and he kind of saves the day. And we're going to kind of look at that today because it was such an iconic run. Back in the early 90s, I was a teenager, and that was when I really got into comics big. And two of the most iconic runs, to me anyways, was this Death of Superman run. And then it was the Nightfall event with Batman, where Bane breaks Batman's back, and then Batman has to come back and take his mantle. But those two were huge, and I kind of collected both. I really had a good friend, though, that was more into Superman than I was. And I'll never forget, he brought the comic book to church that had this Cyborg Superman on it. I don't have the comic. I'm not going to be able to show it today. I'm going to show some other ones. But it was so iconic. I can still see it today because it's such a cool image. They really did a good job with this back in the day. And then even these, that's what McFarlane's hitting today. He's making these toys to kind of get the people that were collecting these things in the early 90s. So what was going on? I'll never forget the Death of Superman. When Doomsday get him, it came in this. Now, you would think this would be worth something. It's not, because they produced so many of these. You can get these super cheap, but it's still cool. It come in this black bag, and then if it's open, this is what is inside of there. You got that iconic look of Superman's his cape looking like a flag, and he failed. And what you got this Doomsday character. He comes. They think he's like an experimental Kryptonian type thing. Well, he comes to Earth, and he's just on a rampage. And he learns. He actually dies like multiple times, but he learns every time he dies, and he comes back greater and greater. And him and Superman, they fight all through Metropolis. And then you got this one scene here. They hit each other at the same time super hard after they're both wore out, and it takes them both out. And then at the end of the book, you got this cool cover. You see Lois kind of holding Superman. And then Doomsday is down. Then you can open it up even more, and then it gives you that whole thing where Superman is gone. And McFarlane has recreated that in this right here, in these action figures where you got Superman and Doomsday. I know they made that movie, Batman and Superman, Doomsday in it. It all come from this, though. Really, really awesome stuff. Well, then after that, you start to get these fake Superman comes up. Superman's dead. They have a funeral for a friend. They have all sorts of stuff happens during this time. And one of the ones that comes up is known as the Eradicator. Now, McFarlane has a new one of these. I can't get it. I'm not paying the markup. I already had this one. It's known as the Shock Wave Eradicator. I don't really know which comic it comes from. In the Death of Superman, he's not all black like that. But the Eradicator, he's like a Kryptonian, and I don't really know. It's kind of weird. He is trying to save like Kryptonian lifestyle. So when Superman, the last Kryptonian dies, the Eradicator is actually like awakened, and he comes out, and he's strictly by the book. He's by the law. He's very hardcore, but he comes into play later as far as Superman coming back and getting his powers back. But that's what the Eradicator kind of looked like. That was it's called the reign of Superman that start to pop up. Well, besides him, you've got the Cyborg Superman. He comes up. Here you see, he's the one that takes care of Doomsday. You give me just a minute. What he does, he actually gets Doomsday. He wraps him up in all sorts of these wires and stuff, and he flies him out into outer space. You can see it right there at the bottom. He puts him in these all of this stuff because Doomsday's dead, but he's actually waking up too. It's kind of weird. He can't really die, and then he sends him off into space. But he does something. He actually has a device on here where Cyborg Superman puts his consciousness in there. So later when he's defeated, he ends up coming back to there. Of course, you know how comic books are. They don't go away. And Cyborg Superman, he's actually a character called Hank Henshaw is his name. It's almost like the Fantastic Four. He was like in a NASA type guy. He got in a bunch of radiation. Everything got messed up. And he's kind of a Superman villain. I think he comes back later. You got this guy. This is from, I think it's from the New 52. I don't really like the way it looks. I don't know nothing about the New 52. I don't read none of it. I've kind of got out of it from in the past. But that's who this is. But when he comes and takes care of Doomsday, he's telling everybody he is Superman, but he just, through all the damage he took from Doomsday, he can't, he's not going to look the same anymore. And for a while, people's good with it. They're calling him Superman, but then we start to see this dude's a bad guy because he gets crazy. I think he takes out a whole city and everything else. But besides Cyborg Superman, we got another really cool guy. His name is Steel. He comes into play. He's just a man, kind of think Iron Man. He's got a hammer. Let's see. McFarlane made a figure of him too. Pretty cool looking right there. I always really like Steel. I think his name is John Henry is his name. But he comes into play. And of course what happens is all these different Supermen rising up trying to take the place. They all start fighting and getting into it, especially with the that Eradicator guy that I saw showed just a minute ago. I don't have the comic with him on the front of it. I don't have that one. But they're all kind of getting into it with each other. You got another one that rises up. You can see it here. It's Superboy. He is a clone of Superman. As far as I know, McFarlane has not made one of Superboy. But Superboy's in there. Here you see in his comic, he's fighting the Cyborg Superman. Again, it's all back and forth all through it as they're going. So things keep getting worse, and finally that Cyborg Superman, he just gets so out of whack. Everybody sees we got to put him down, but he's so he can like control metal and I think it ain't really Magneto. He can actually get in the metal and move things. It's almost like the robot in Terminator or something, like Terminator 2. He can move it, but he can do it on other people. And then you get the Green Lantern in there. Hal Jordan, he comes in. You can see him in his armor with his hammer as well. That's one McFarlane has made. After all this is over, the Cyborg Superman, which is back to the Hank guy, I think him and the Lanterns, the Green Lantern Corps, have a lot of trouble with him. But he plays a big part in putting down the Cyborg Superman in the comic run. And now this is a run. This was stuff, this wasn't you just getting and you could read it all. This was coming out in multiple comic books. You had like the Superman comic book, Superman, the Man of Steel comic book. I think there might have been an Adventures of Superman. I can't remember. It's multiple comic books, and this went forever. So you're really trying to figure it out, and you're waiting on it. And as a kid, there's some adults who say this was kind of dorky. Everybody knew Superman was coming back. But, as a teenager, which didn't understand how all this worked, I'm really wondering, like, is he going to come back? I was so engrossed in this. And then, of course, he does come back. And this is the one where he comes back. I don't have one of these open, but he comes back in this one. Of course, it's very different from the black one I showed earlier. And he comes back. Well, he comes back, and he comes back in a suit kind of like this. This is not really for the death of Superman. He don't have a beard either. but he comes back in that black suit, and he don't really have all his powers. He uses guns and kind of everything else. And here's kind of the comic show, one of the comics show him when he came back. He's coming back. You can see all of them there. You see him in his black suit. You see Superboy. There's the Eradicator, Steel, and then you see the Green Lantern at the top. And Supergirl comes into play too. You see her there at the bottom. They're all trying to take down the Cyborg Superman. And there's some really iconic scenes in it. There's one right here where they punch Cyborg Superman. It knocks off his bottom jaw. And then he comes in and does all of this. You see that there's like kryptonite everywhere and a beam going through there. And the Eradicator, all that kryptonite goes through him. You can see it there. But it shoots through him and it goes into Superman and it gives Superman his powers back. There's another look at Cyborg Superman without his jaw. You know, that stuff out of a kid's nightmares. Well, Superman comes back. He's got his powers back. You see him there taking out Cyborg Superman. And then as you flip through the book, it's pretty wild. Superman sticks his arms through Cyborg Superman. Then he starts to shake it really fast. Think of the Flash. You can see him doing it there. And then, what does it say? Broosh. He evaporates. And he takes down Cyborg Superman. And then you got this iconic part in there where he's flying off. And Superman is back. Really, really cool stuff. And then the next one after that is this one, The Adventures of Superman. Or I believe it, yes, right after that one. And then you see he's reunited with Lois. Really cool stuff. Now, I just showed this pretty quick in about 10, 15 minutes. This went on, I can't remember how long. It was a year or two, something like that. But it had people so hooked. And McFarlane is coming out with these things, and he's really hitting on us 90 folks. So if any of y'all got any of these or want to share your thoughts on if you collect any of this stuff, I'd love to hear what you got to say about it. It's really cool stuff, especially for a 90s guy like me. This is kind of, you kind of saw how he came back. This is the closest I got. You can kind of see he has the long hair now in the new run. He come back and he's got that long hair. It kind of reminds me of this one. This one McFarlane has made. I don't think he's made one. He might have, but I don't have it as far as after the death of Superman. But anyways, I thought that was just a little fun trip down memory lane. I hope you enjoyed it. If any of y'all collected this stuff, remember this stuff, I'd love to hear what you got to think, what you think about it too. I just love it. As I got that, I said, you know what, I'm gonna get my comics out and kind of look at this. Then as I did it, I said, I think I'm gonna make a video. But as always, thanks for watching. I hope you guys all have a great one.